Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. This is Egberto Williams, your host. We are going to have a great show for you today. Sorry for the missing thing. I had the microphone off and I just looked at it and saw, oh, there's nothing moving. The signals are not moving. Well, we're here now. Anyhow, we're going to be talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Chuck Todd misinforming folks about what is going on. So here we are. We're going to get started. Let's go ahead and get started with the show. The title of the show is Chuck Todd's Orchestrated Attack. Chuck Todd's orchestrated attack on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a manifestation of establishment fear. And I'm going to explain that as we go forward with the program. Chuck Todd's attack on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez recently was weird in that he lost all modicum of journalism as he purposefully mischaracterized her statement on concentration camps. That was immediately shocking. Look, let me tell you something, folks. That you could see what the woman was saying in her Periscope, what it seems, I think it was a Periscope video that she did when she started to kind of explain the tweet that she made. I think that's what it was, a Periscope video. And you're listening to it, you know. I went ahead and I listened to the whole darn thing just before I made the critique that I'm going to play in a little bit. I made sure and listened to her entire video because I could not believe that Chuck Todd would mischaracterize, would actually state things that she didn't say in the video. So I wanted to listen to it. You know, that's what Politics Done Right do for you. We want to make sure and not give you bad information, false information, so we try to be as accurate as we can. Unlike what I can say now, the mainstream media who has an agenda, right? You can't have Alexandria too effective. There was a reason for Chuck Todd attack, why Chuck Todd attacked Ocasio-Cortez as he did. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has changed the paradigm. And the corporatocracy, the plutocracy is in fear. Why? Why are they in fear? Why do they fear this little woman? I interviewed Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in 2017 at Netroots Nation 2017. And, you know, I told her straight up after the interview, we did 2 interviews. The first time that we had a little bit too much noise, and I told her, you know what? I hunted her down and said, can we do it again? And, I mean, this woman is a wonderful person, down to earth. You know, at that time, she had just come back from Castle Rock, the gas, what was it, the rally and so forth back in, I think it was in the Dakotas, and you know, she had come into the place and she's all dressed, and she went ahead and said, yeah, sure, I'll do the interview again. We had to do the whole thing over again. After we're done, I said, you know what? You're going to be the next representative, because there is something about, you can meet somebody and know when they have the it factor, but not only that they have the it factor, but it's reflected through, and you know that it's going to actually happen. And I told her that straight up. You're going to be the next representative. She said, oh, really? Yes, you are going to be. It was quite evident. But anyway, why are they fearful? Why? Because she is an effective communicator. It is clear the handlers of many of the talking heads, irrespective of the slant of the networks, whether it be Fox, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, all of them, they know that she gets through. It is clear the handlers of many of the talking heads, irrespective of slant of networks, have her in their crosshairs. Don't be fooled. No directives from above need to go out to the networks. In other words, the plutocracy that runs all our networks, you know, those guys that pay for the ads, those guys that go to Davos, who says, well, we are the ones who run all the networks around the world in the capitalist world. I mean, look, they don't quite do things that way. There are things that just don't have to be said. There are many things that just don't have to be said, people. They just don't have to say these things. We know to maintain the status what has to be done. We know it. They do. So don't be fooled. No directives from above need to go out of the networks. They are all in the game and understand what they deem to be a growing infection, the education and liberalization of America, led by young, eloquent, likable, believable, fearless politicians like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and others, including Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, and we could go with Rashida Tlaib. We could also bring in several others, Jayapal. I mean, there are several of these newcomers that they are fearless. And they're fearless because, you know what, they're not owned. And that's what has the plutocracy crazy scared. Normally, a lot of these politicians are owned by corporations, right? They are owned by corporations. In other words, they know they can go so far, but they can go no more because their money will dry up. And since they are of the belief that it's not the people that get them elected, but it's the money from the top that percolates down that somehow get them elected, they're scared. These new warriors know what's called grassroots. And if you can win the grassroots, no amount of money is going to win it for you. And that's what in congressional districts, I mean, when you have huge congressional districts like Texas, it makes it a lot more difficult. But still, with the tools that we have today, as long as we still have them, we'll be able to do it. But what I want to do is I want to go ahead and play what we did with, what I did yesterday after seeing what Chuck Todd did. It occurred after the show yesterday. I wanted to do a little piece about it. So what I'm going to do right now, brothers and sisters, is play this piece, and then we'll come back and talk about it. This is important. Check this out. Let me clear that screen there, and voila. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez came out recently and said that on the border what we had were concentration camps, and all hell broke loose. We had Jewish organizations that attacked her. We had the Republicans who we know attacked her. They love to use her as a punching bag. And then we had some Democrats that came out. And I was disappointed in Bernie Sanders because Bernie Sanders didn't criticize her, but he didn't come in support of her. But Nadler, Congressman Nadler, sent a tweet out and defended her, and he is sumamente calificado to speak about that issue. And he did. By definition, a concentration camp is a place where a large number of people, such as prisoners of war, political prisoners, refugees, or the members of an ethnic or religious minority, are detained or confined under armed guard. Used especially in reference to camps created by the Nazis in World War II, for the internment and persecution of Jews and others. But not restricted to that. We have a tendency not to believe that we are capable of doing those things to people, or if somebody mentions that, it destroys the cred that we normally have in the world about being the land of freedom, the honorable people that can do no wrong. The truth sometimes, it hurts the system. It makes the system that once was revered look like, oh my God, it just may be in fact that she's right. A fascist system that is supported itself by the plutocracy. MSNBC's Chris Hayes came in support of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. He was intellectually honest. After being attacked, he fell right in line. Depressing. But Chuck Todd tried to give this an air of morality. I want you to listen to how Chuck Todd handled this subject. This is definitely a system that is trying to bring down this woman for a particular reason. She tells the truth, people believe her, and if she gets traction, the inhumanity of the administration, the inhumanity of the system itself, not just the Trump administration, but the inhumanity of the system will be called out to those, even those who haven't recognized it. But let's go ahead and deconstruct exactly what Chuck Todd did, because what he did was dangerous. It was extremely dangerous because what he did was put words in her mouth and said things she didn't say. But here we go.
Welcome back. Tonight I'm obsessed with what's happening at our southern border. You can call our government's detention of migrants many things, depending on how you see it. It's a stain on our nation, maybe, a necessary evil to others, a deal with untenable situation, perhaps. But do you know what you can't call it? Take a listen.
The United States is running concentration camps on our southern border, and that is exactly what they are. They are concentration camps.
That was obviously New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on Instagram. For being criticized, Ocasio-Cortez tried to make a distinction between concentration camps and Nazi death camps, where the industrialized mass slaughter of the Holocaust occurred. Fair enough, but Congresswoman, tens of thousands were also brutalized, tortured, starved, and ultimately died in concentration camps. Camps like Dachau. If you want to criticize the shameful treatment of people at our southern border, fine. You'll have plenty of company, but be careful comparing them to Nazi concentration camps. Because they're not.
See how he made that segue? Be careful making the comparison with Nazi concentration camps. She never did that. So then why should you make that claim? Secondly, by definition of concentration camps, she is 100% correct, and she is right to give it the urgency that it needs. But you see, in America, other people, when other peoples are mistreated, it's not all that bad, or let's not talk about it too much. Let it happen to an American, and specifically you know whom. It is always then a big issue. When Bush came and he bombed Panama and he killed Panamanians indiscriminately, Colin Powell called it collateral damage. Think about that. Think about the people who have to hear that about themselves. So let's be careful here.
Comparable, in the slightest. But here's where it's upsetting as her comments. Some Democrats have been reluctant to condemn her remarks and only get criticized on Twitter. Fellow New York Congressman Jerry Nadler tweeted in response, "One of the lessons from the Holocaust is never again. We fail to learn that lesson when we don't call out such inhumanity right in front of us." Jerry Nadler surely knows migrant detainment camps are not the same as concentration camps. So why didn't
He did not say it's the same as the Nazi concentration camps at all. He never said that. But he's absolutely correct. We must stop treating people inhumanely. And he's absolutely never again. And what we are doing is doing it again.
Why are we so sheepish calling out people we agree with politically these days? Obviously, this isn't a Democratic Party thing. It's an even bigger problem on the Republican side of the aisle when it comes to President Trump and the reluctance there. Are we really so ensconced in our political bubbles, liberal versus conservative, that we cannot talk about right versus wrong anymore? Some things are big.
Now, do you see what he's doing there? He's trying to create a false equivalency. But it's worse than that, because what he wanted to do is give plausibility to his arguments against Ocasio-Cortez, who is a progressive liberal Democrat. He wanted to say, oh, but I am balanced. And you see how I even said the way the Republicans are doing it, it's even worse. But he wasn't talking about Republicans calling anything concentration camps or anything. He's trying to malign Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the faction of progressives that think like her.
Than partisanship, at least they used to be. And in the interim, the crux of what's truly at stake is lost. What is this country going to do about what's happening at the border in this humanitarian crisis? We'll get to that at some point, I guess, after we've had this debate. But no doubt Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez cares deeply about what's happening at the border. But she just did the people there a tremendous disservice by distracting.
She didn't do a disservice. She kept it in the news, and she's telling the truth about what's happening. They are being placed in concentration camps. And now, because she is making that an issue, and because reporters likely from around the world are going to come over here and try and make an attempt to see what these places look like, she is doing exactly what she needs to do to make sure that we keep the cameras on the concentration camps on the south of our borders.
She said she didn't use those words lightly. And neither did I.
There is Chuck Todd trying to sound magnanimous. She said she didn't use those words lightly, and neither did I. Well, I mean, you kind of spoke from either being handled are not understanding what inhumane treatment is. It's amazing how the system comes together, how it fuses together to defend itself. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at this point in time needs the support of progressives, needs the support of all people who believe in humanity. She needs the support of people who are willing to tell things the way they are. She needs the support of progressives so that we don't do what we normally do and have to come back 50 years later and find out that what we did, in fact, was tantamount. And I don't want to call it war crimes, but you don't treat humans the way we're treating humans at the border. Friends, please click the button. Okay, that was what I did yesterday immediately after I saw that thing with Chuck Todd. I mean, the truth of the matter is I was rather irate because what we saw is Chuck Todd immediately starting to lie to as far as as what came about. But anyway, Francisco Gonzalez, I got the sounds fixed. Let's see. I'm going to start reading what I have here, both on YouTube and Facebook Live. Welcome aboard, Mariner Jerky, Francisco Gonzalez, Samara Alpern, Lee Grant, Daniel Ledo. Let's see who else is here. Janice Banikiewicz, Stickles, Robert Hall, and let's see who else. Will E. Wombat, welcome aboard. Okay, let me go ahead and start talking to you guys both on YouTube and otherwise. Francisco, I fixed the sound. Mariner Joki, I fixed the sound. Samara Alpern, common courtesy. Thank you. Let's see what else I need to do here. We have only elected people are in the history books and presently can speak and get an audience. Only elected people are in the history books and presently can speak to get an audience. I think I understand where you're going there. That's true. Lee Grant, hello, welcome aboard. Daniel Ledo said, she is effective when preaching to the choir, far less so in recruitment for socialism. I tell you something, Daniel. Marcus Molitsas, who is the publisher, owner of Daily Coast, which we're another rag. Well, actually, it's the largest progressive blog in the entire country. It's a place that I write as well. He came out with an analysis, and he said in this analysis today, thank you so kindly, Bernie Sanders. And he's not a Bernie Sanders fan. He thinks Bernie Sanders uses the Democratic Party when he's running, but after he's done, in Marcus's opinion, he sort of goes away. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that 100%, but I understand exactly what he was saying there. And the truth of the matter is, what he came out to do today is he said, thank you, Bernie Sanders. And the reason he thanked Bernie Sanders, this is a true blue Democrat who thanked Bernie Sanders, and he said, because you and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has changed the discussion in such a manner that the vast majority of the people have the policies that democratic socialism support are the policies now that most Americans want. Think about that. The policies that democratic socialism support is what most Americans want. And the boogeyman that just using that word, what that used to do in the past to people, oh, it froze them. They thought Soviet Union. They thought Cuba. They thought all these things. Those fears are no longer there. So therefore, Mr. Ledo, you are on a far side of where this country is going. This country is going to remain a free enterprise country, a country where people are free to develop their companies, are free to do things, but are also free of, listen to me well, we are going to create a country that is free of the dominance of the corporation where they run you in a form of dignified, in a form of abstract slavery. Okay? We remove the chains from people, the violent chains, the whippings and all of that from people from slavery based on color. Now we're going to remove the slavery based on economics, where a very few enslave, I shouldn't say enslave, a lot of people want, a lot of African Americans get on my case because they said that once you use that slavery for what's going on to the people that are not only black but the people in Appalachia and all of that, you're minimizing what we went through, and I'm not minimizing what black folks went through. After all, and as much as I wasn't born here, I was born in Panama. There's no person with my hue whose parents are here that came on a pleasure ship to this hemisphere. Okay, so that's the deal. All right, human. Chuck Todd said his job is to repeat what politicians say, not to analyze such. He said something to that effect one time, but again, yesterday what he did to Ocasio-Cortez was not only analyze, but lie. Think about it. Analyze lies. That's what he did. Because she mentioned nothing about Nazi camps. She mentioned nothing about death camps. She said what is occurring at the border are concentration camps. By definition, and I placed that in the video that you just saw, by definition, she is perfectly accurate. What we have on the southern border are concentration camps. Okay, now let's go to what else is Daniel. Let's see what else is. Human says, knock on doors will get the votes. Exactly right. Who's that said that now? Human said that. Human also said average senators, average senators need a few thousand votes. Let me just give a shout out to Human. Human, you are so right. You are so right. You are so right. Now, let's see who else is here. Going to see. Average senator needs a few thousand votes to rule. Most elections are 50-50. Yeah, in some districts, in the marginal districts, 50-50. We've gerrymandered things so much that what we have to work for, Human, is to have very, very, very strict campaigns where we are going to go door to door, as you said before. Lee Grant says, this is a major spin going on. If anyone can spin the dumpster fire, it's Egberto. Lee, what are you talking about, my brother? What are you talking about, Lee? Give me a call at 646-716-5812 if you have access to a phone, if you're not on a job, and you can make that call. I'd love to give you the floor to tell all our listeners why is it Egberto spinning right now, because I would like to have a conversation with you to talk about why you think I'm spinning right now. Okay, let's see. Lee Grant says, no, that's Lee Grant who said that I'm spinning. Janice Banikowski-Stickel says, how about focusing on the real problems? People, including children, are dying. Immigrants put in freezers and cages. Babies stripped of clothing. Meds taken away. Physically and emotionally abused, yes, in camps. And that is what Alexandria was trying to allude to. Those are the things that you expect within a camp. So you're absolutely right, Janice. You're absolutely, and let me respond to you directly. You are absolutely right, because, you know, and by the way, folks, I'm using a new messaging system now that it seems like I can talk to my YouTube folk and my Facebook folk at the same time that are watching. So you guys tell me if it's working okay. If it's not working, tell me that as well. Okay, Daniel says, funny how leftists are selective when insisting on proper dictionary definitions. Other times, not so much. Example, woman, Nazi, nationalist. I could go on. Daniel, I would like some help from you, my brother. I don't know what you mean by example, woman, Nazi, nationalist. I could go on. So you may want to send me another message where you explain that to me. Maybe I'm a little bit dense. Who knows? Let's see if that's the case. And by the way, folks, this is a call-in show. 646-716-5812. 646-716-5812. I want to stay on the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez a bit longer. After this, I have a blog that I wrote on Brother Biden, Dr. Joe Biden. Not Dr. Joe Biden, but Joe Biden, the politician, that I want to read if we get past all your messages. Okay, let's see. Robert Hall is waiting for video to load. Do a refresh on the screen, Robert Hall. Daniel Lado said, funny how bigots always seem to reveal themselves eventually. You may want to expand on that. I don't know who the bigots that you're speaking about are. Who are those bigots? Because I don't consider anybody who's listening to Politics Done Right bigots, but maybe you know something that I don't, so you may want to let us know a little bit more, sir. We have from Janice, Chuck Todd is a partisan shill. If you mean that he seems to be kowtowing to the Republicans, my dear friend Janice, I would think that you are absolutely correct. Will E. Wombat, Todd needs to get off the air because he is ignorant. I don't think Todd is ignorant, but you know what is so interesting about this? These guys like to go ahead and ask for qualifications for certain people in the media and otherwise, right? I found out recently that I don't even think Chuck Todd has some formal degree in journalism. And while I think that is wonderful, right? Because I'm of the thought that life experiences and doing the job is a lot more effective than organized education. I mean, I'm an engineer, graduated from the University of Texas, and I thought that was a great thing. But interestingly, while I most of what I did had little to do with what I got for. So I mean, I went directly into software. Those days, software weren't. So I mean, I have so much respect for the people who do things this way. But ironically, I've heard many of these guys hit up others that attempted to do the same. So you know, just saying. Okay, Will E. Wombat says, Todd needs to get off the air because he's ignorant. I don't think he's ignorant, though. I actually think Todd is a very smart guy. In fact, I think Todd is one of the smartest, even smarter than some of the hosts who've been to these big-time schools. I think the man is pretty darn smart. I really do. I will not take anything away from the guy. Now, I think he's so smart that he knows what he has to say to hold on to the job and to be in the good graces of all the people to make sure that his show is always ranked one of the top shows, and that means getting good advertising, all of that, and he's making sure all of that is good. Francisco Gonzalez says a thank you. Okay, Alan Parker, welcome aboard, Alan Parker. Alan Parker says, whoa, Marcus better watch out. He might turn into Peter Dow. I don't know if he's going to... I don't know. Why would you say that now? I'm kind of wondering why you would say he'd. I don't think we have to worry about that occurring with Militsas. I talked to him. I've spoken to him quite often, and I think the guy has it all together. In fact, I think he's going to be very helpful in making sure Democrats do very well this year with his side. Daniel Lado said, free or freedom? No, I don't think so. Alan Parker comes back and he said, Chuck Todd couldn't get a degree in French horn in college. Come on, Alan, be a nice guy. I honestly don't think that Chuck Todd is dumb. I really think he's smart. Politics done, Janice Stickles. Oh, okay, what did you say there? Oh, I was talking to you. Okay, I missed that one. Humans, you are so right. Let's see who else is here. Daniel says, okay, let's run through this, Egberto. I am a nationalist. Okay, Daniel, you're a nationalist. Would you say that I am therefore a xenophobic and or a bigot or whatever it is leftists are calling us now? Here's a dictionary definition. A person who strongly identifies with their own nation and vigorously supports its interests, especially to the exclusion or detriment of interests of other nations. Okay. So you're a nationalist. If you're a look, I want to say this right. I don't have a problem if you want to call yourself a nationalist because you're looking out for the interests of the United States first. I think all American citizens look out for what's closest to them first. Okay? I honestly believe that. The thing about nationalists, however, today and if you want to be honest, you'll admit that many of the nationalists are also white supremacists because they believe America is to be a white nation. America was never, ever a white nation. Yes, the founding fathers were white. But I'm coming to your next phone. But the constituents of this country was never, ever solely white. The building of this country was never, ever solely white. Hola, Lisa Balmaceda, ¿cómo estás? Mi hermana de Panamá. Sabes que vamos a tener Politics Done Right en español bien pronto. Tengo una panameña que va a estar conmigo haciéndolo. Welcome aboard, Lisa. Anyhow, let's go to the telephones. 973, you are hot. Come on in.
Berto, how are you today? It's Johnny.
El señor Johnny, háblame muchacho. Talk to me, my brother.
I'm well. I just wanted to point out that Chuck Todd, as well as Brian Williams, neither one of these guys graduated from college.
Oh, neither did... I didn't know Brian Williams either. Okay.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I believe they do this is because that puts them neatly in the pocket of the corporate news engineering I don't want to say scheme, but this is kind of how they are able to push certain propaganda to us. You know, you put a Chuck Todd in place, and he kind of acts like a gatekeeper to kind of keep the left, like you said, on the train tracks.
Right.
And so he actually fulfills a very specific purpose because he knows himself, like, if I move left or right, I don't have a degree where I can break out and go do something else.
Right. Now,
so I think.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just think that they do that on purpose. I don't think that's by accident.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying they put somebody that is that one would consider marginally qualified so that they can pretty much own them because they don't have much growth potential, is what you're saying?
Absolutely. And not only that, but they'll be very quick to just kind of take the media feed that they're being given.
Right. They will acquiesce to the
and
boss.
Not really. Absolutely, because remember, you've mentioned this a couple times before, and this is brilliant on your part to point out that their job is to kind of pull the left back in.
Right, exactly.
And to kind of institute this plutocracy on us.
Right.
And Chuck Todd is one of these guys where you go, what is this guy doing? Mm-hmm. And yet he's there doing exactly that.
And you know what?
And it's interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, but you just taught me something. I didn't know that Brian Williams didn't either. I find it amazing. But you know what is the other amazing thing about that? And I found this. I worked for NASA and I worked for a whole lot of other companies, in the past. And it was interesting because all the people who looked like me or all the people who looked like Jose Gonzalez and all of that, they were all degreed, right? But I worked. But I worked with a lot of engineers, and I didn't, that weren't right. They came on as techs, and then they slowly migrated into being engineers. I'm coming to your next telephone call, and I had never, I asked a manager one time, how come that's the case? And he said, well, read what the application says for working here at NASA. It says, engineer or comparable experience. Somehow a comparable experience never worked.
Yeah, this is
for some.
and what's so crazy about it is that if you just look across the board, and this is one of the reasons why ADOS and people of color in general get so upset with the system. Mm-hmm. We usually have to be overqualified.
Right. Well, that we know.
To take.
Yes.
And so, but then when you get into these job environments, and then the people working alongside you, like you said, you're an engineer,
right?
And then the person next to you is not an engineer, and you're like, wait a second, how'd you even get in the door?
Right, but
because if you tried to get in the door,
Johnny, I have always been humble
happened.
in that regards, Johnny, always, and that is because I've always been sort of, I don't want to say self-made because I'm a real democratic socialist who says we all make each other, but because I've always been going and doing things sort of on my own, I've always respected those guys that I worked with. Like there's one guy, Leroy Gay, one of the best coders, best programmers I ever met. more than the guys at Harvard that I worked with. And this guy was great. Never went to college, got out of high school and became a coder. Best that I'd ever seen. I've always respected those folks. I've always respected people that picked it up. But hold on a second, Johnny. Let me get the other phone line, and then I'll keep you hot, though. Okay, come on in. 240, come on in.
I just want to point this out, because I just want to say that what's interesting about all of this is that qualifications really only matter in regards to keeping out quote-unquote minorities. Because it seems that when the majority groups, they don't really focus on qualifications as much.
That is
but
a story.
When you're a minority person, they always,
Johnny,
first thing they want to do is disqualify you based on, oh, well, you don't have the qualifications for this.
That is a story we'll talk about, and we'll have a fact-based story on that, because when I talk about that, I am going to have that as a subject. But when I talk about that, I'm going to have some stats to show, because when you talk about
you're going to want some data.
Exactly. That's what I'm going to come with. But anyway, Johnny.
Okay, well, yeah, let's get that data.
Yes, sir. Let me get to 240. 240, you're on. 240, you're on. Telephone call, 240, I can't hear you.
Hello?
Yes, you're here.
Great. Thank you for taking the call. This is Willie Wombat.
Hi, Willie. How you doing?
Chuck Todd is ignorant. Good. Thank you. I said that he was ignorant because I felt that any journalist worth their medal would at least know what a concentration camp is. Just a simple check into a dictionary will tell you that. And buttress that against what she said, she was absolutely right. Absolutely right. And he had no reason to reprimand her the way how he did.
Yes.
It was totally uncalled for. So based on that, yes, it may get in clicks, it may create a buzz. He may be smart for doing that, but his integrity is shot.
And you know
Absolutely
something?
Shot.
Let me tell you something, Mr. Wombat. I want to agree with you 100% in that. And if you notice the blog that I wrote, that's exactly what I said in the blog, that his integrity, he's destroyed his journalistic integrity. Because, you know, it's interesting. In the blog I said, the video is there for everybody to see. And for him to add that she said Nazi concentration camps, that she said, it was amazing that he did that. And which is why I think Johnny alluded to this as well, that we wonder how much of this came from above. How much of this was actually articulated in that, in the, what do you call that thing again? The teleprompter, etc. Because it was so evident what was being done, Mr. Wombat.
I also think that, you know, when you think on the grand scheme of it, both Cortez, the lady from Detroit, I believe,
yes,
and the other lady from Minnesota.
Yeah, you're talking about Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib.
Yes. Thank you for that. They're all being like in the forefront for the things that they say. They're very honest, very frank, very open. They say the things that most politicians don't say.
Right, but you know why, right?
And I think when you say the word concentration camp, and I mentioned it earlier in an earlier post in this stream here, that people tend to think that concentration camp is solely the domain of Nazis and Jews, and it is not. It is not.
Thank you.
And for him to make that allusion there, that I think is highly. It just shows his ignorance. Or if he's trying to be smart about it and try to smear her, then that shows the lack of integrity there.
Well, Will, let me talk to you about something else. Because if you remember, the same thing occurred with Ilhan Omar. When Ilhan Omar made that speech, it was a professional speech. It was a speech that spoke about the country and who brought down the towers and how that affected people just for being Muslim. And instead of Todd and all these guys looking at it from the point of view that she's saying, which made a lot of sense, why should we as Muslims have to say, because they were Muslims who came out of Saudi Arabia, who was supported by Bush to do these things, why should we be the ones that are the fall persons? And she made it quite eloquently. Right. And they went after her.
You would think a journalist like Todd would know something about context.
Right. Absolutely right.
Any journalist worth their mettle understands context. And for him to get up on a TV because he has a national platform and not bring that into the fore about it just shows how sloppy he is.
Yeah,
it really does.
You're breaking up. Wombat.
Yes. I would just like to point out that the whole idea of this eugenics movement, these concentration camps, come from the eugenics movement that was actually started with I think it was Charles Davenport at Cold Spring Harbor in New York. So even this idea of where these just to give it context, this is really an American concept, and eugenics. And this idea of eugenics hasn't gone away, ever. And one of the problems that I presidency is that the underlying theme is this fear in the white community of the browning of America. The browning of America by people that look like AOC. And I think that AOC doesn't really understand that that's how she's being pigeonholed, that she's representing this fear among the white majority, among the plutocrats, that, quote-unquote, the brown people are going to take over this country. And she represents that, and that's why Chuck Todd is so quick to go after her, because they want to put the kibosh on any type of, just any movement of money or power from the plutocracy. So they're using this idea, this fear, this irrational fear among white Americans that the country is becoming too brown.
Well,
and
what?
It's interesting because. Okay.
Yeah, let me tell you, this is important.
I'm just saying, and this
I want to kind of piggyback on something that you said. And folks, I just had to refresh the messenger, so I lost a few messages. So if you sent me something in the last few minutes, go ahead and resend it. But here's the thing, Will. What we have to realize is we are being played, right? In other words, white people have nothing to worry about. Black people really, black people and brown people and all the others don't want to go ahead and, okay, now there is no longer a majority of anybody. Let's start attacking the white people. Nobody wants that. And if you think that is how these other people behave, they're crazy. Take a look at what happened in South Africa. Let's look at the places where the dominance changed, or whoever governed changed. And you realize that, no, most of these people are good people. And, a lot of time it's the fear of what the plutocracy has done to folk that have them so worried. Oh, no, they're coming to get you now. And that is what we have to break. Go ahead, I will.
And well, I mean, in my mind, this is real, because the problem is that even if it's only even if it's only the white American perception, the fact that they believe it and that they're willing to act on it, and that Trump was able to take advantage of people's fear in that regard to get elected to the presidency of the United States of America, tells you everything you need to know. That sometimes we have to be aware of this irrational fear. And what AOC doesn't realize is that she's speaking truth to power, but what she really represents is one of their great fears. And so on one hand, I would caution her and say, if you're going to be a truth teller, you have to be aware of how you're being perceived in that context.
Now, let me tell you, I think AOC is well aware of how she's being perceived. I think AOC does not give a damn, and the reason she does not give a damn...
she's wonderful.
And the reason she doesn't give a damn is that she's not owned. A lot of the politicians that are coming out against her, the media that's coming out against her, they're all owned. And if you notice what I said in one of the blogs that I wrote about her this morning, is what I said is, they're big. The reason why they have to try to destroy her credibility, the reason why Chuck and them want to have her sound like a blowhard or somebody that just shoot out crazy things, is they want that when people listen to her, that's the first thing they think. Oh, she's just crazy. That's what they want people to think. Because what happens is what this Republican went on independent media. I don't remember the name of the program that he went on. This popular Republican politician went out and said, we probably should leave AOC alone because she is one of those left-wing liberals that knows exactly what she's talking about. She comes to her committee meetings more prepared than anybody else, and what she comes out with when she talks are facts. So this Republican guy said, we need to leave her around because we're going to get burned. And if you take a look at some of it, it's a shame that many Americans don't listen to hearings that come on C-SPAN or whatever. Because when you see her, what the right tries to do is they try to cut a snippet out that may make her look or sound a little bit off. But when you listen to how she interrogates the people in front of her, she makes a lot of the steady folks that's been there for quite a long time look pretty inept.
Oh yeah, she's only 28.
30.
She's only
I think
28.
she's going to be 30.
She's very young in this game. And what I worry about with her is I worry about them corrupting her by giving her lots of money. Because,
yes,
it's easy to speak truth to power when you are, she still remembers what it's like to live off bartender wages.
And
she
what?
went to
I
Boston
think that's her
University,
saving grace.
The most expensive.
I think that's her saving grace. She got into power on grassroots. Please tell me the grassroots power that got corrupted. There's this guy from Cincinnati that never got corrupted. Really, never got corrupted. He was once the mayor of Cincinnati. What's his name?
Jerry Springer.
Not Jerry. Not Jerry Springer, but he served in Congress for a long time. But they turned him into a kook. But he was just a regular old liberal. And he allowed himself to be turned into sort of a kook. It's like what they attempted to do with Bernie Sanders until Bernie Sanders developed a posse. Well, that is what's happening with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's developing a posse. And think about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez with a posse, Ilhan Omar with a posse, and Rashida Tlaib with a posse. Think about all these folks learning how to build their own posses. They don't need corporate America, and that is a fearful thing. It's not Jesse Ventura human. It's another person. It's a short, skinny guy. I don't remember his name. For all I can't remember his name right now. But you think about what this represents. If the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez model makes it, the plutocracy is in trouble. And that is what they fear. They need to tell politicians, I want to give you money. I want to give you money. And they need to make you dependent on that money. Hey, Mike Cisak, you would like what I'm going to say here. It's like whenever people get used to sucking on the nipple, if you will, or sucking on the chupong. What is a chupong called in English? On the pacifier. It's like when you're doing that, that is what they keep going back to. The baby keeps going back to the chupong. The politician that got used to getting those several $1,000s from these corporations get used to it. Well, you know what? I would love to see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and all these guys get used to getting their support from the grassroots, because that is what it's going to take. And I think they're doing a damn good job. Dennis Kucinich, Mariner.
They can't have that.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second, folks. Wait a second, Johnny.
You got to watch.
Johnny, hold on.
You got to watch AOC.
Right, Johnny, hold on.
She could be the next Che Guevara.
Johnny, hold on, because we have to give a big shout out to Mariner Jerky. Mariner Jerky is the guy who just figured out the person I was talking about, which is Dennis Kucinich. Thank you very much, Mariner. You did it.
Yes.
Anyway, anything else you have to say before you go, Johnny?
I love AOC, and by the way, she's beautiful.
Yes.
And I love everything that she's doing, and I hope that she can stay focused and not allow herself to be corrupted by money, because money makes everything funny. Have a great day.
You have a great day, buddy. Thank you very much for calling in. Hey guys, I have the greatest listeners, but before I go, like I always say, I'm terrible of promotion, and I need to do this. So give me about 35 to 45 seconds here so I can do this real quickly, folks. Please remember that Politics Done Right is a call-in show, not only a call-in show, but a progressive show that needs your support. Please go to, if you want to subscribe, which I need hundreds of subscribers, please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Again, that is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Or you can donate at politicsdoneright.com/donate. You can shop and buy good stuff like our cups, our covers for phones, our t-shirts, all of that. You can go to store.politicsdoneright.com. Again, that is store.politicsdoneright.com. So again, please subscribe at patreon.com/politicsdoneright. For those people who decide to subscribe, thank you so kindly. You get As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. That is my book. You'll be able to read all my books online. I'm currently on the 4th chapter of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. I am going to be posting chapter 3 this week. I just have to get the time to go ahead and upload it, change the format into HTML and put it up there. But chapter 3 is done. We're going to chapter 4 now. And as the chapters come out, you can read it immediately. If you go ahead and give us ideas for the book, etc., guess what I'm going to do? I'll cite you in the book if you so desire, because I'd love to have your name in print as well. And of course, you guys know that I lost a lot of weight a few years ago, had high blood pressure, and took care of all of that. And I wrote a book to say, this is how I did it. Activists and authors lose weight and be fit now. All of these books you'll be able to read online as a subscriber. You can also buy the 2 books that I mentioned, this one here, and As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, at Amazon.com. You can get it as well. So I'm done with my pitching, but I ask you again, please remember, subscribe to Politics Done Right. Go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. patreon.com/politics done right. Thank you so kindly for being here, folks. I love you all for sticking with the program. It's important what we are doing. What we are doing is important. Shouting out the lies, it's important. Telling people the way things are, it's important. And the reason why it is so important, folks, is that many people just don't know. And if they are dependent solely on the mainstream media to be informed, we know what's going to happen. Because, again, think about it. Think about what Chuck Todd did yesterday. Think about what Chuck Todd did yesterday. I think that was so sad. And think about the uninitiated. Think about that person that doesn't understand how the media work. Think about that person that doesn't understand how the sellout works. Think about that. That is why we are the difference. Progressive, independent media. We are the difference. I'm going to be going out to Philadelphia next month, early next month, for the Netroots Nation 2019, where we are going to meet a whole lot of all the progressive politicians, all the progressive activists, all the progressive organizations, and I'm going to do exactly what I did yesterday and more. I mean, last year at the function and more. Last year I interviewed a whole lot of these politicians, and this year I'll be interviewing a whole lot of politicians as well. I will be talking to a lot of activists that normally don't get airplay. I'm going to make sure that we bring, remember what I believe in. I believe in the totality of the people, the masses. I believe, yes, we give the politicians the importance they deserve. We bring them in. So that's the reason I interview politicians as well. But my best interviews, the things that I like the most, what I love doing is interviewing the average person. Sometimes I would see somebody doing something on the exhibit floor at Netroots Nation, and I'll say, hey, come on over. Let's talk about what you're doing. What is it that you're doing in your space? What is it that you're doing in your community? What is it that you're doing in your state? I brought folks from the marijuana industry and how these guys were trying to democratize the marijuana industry. I brought some people in who were making products out of marijuana. I brought some people in who were liberals that wanted to talk about the gun issue. I brought the woman from Sex and the City who was running for the governor in New York, brought in several, even from our local folks, our local activists got interviews, including our mayor, our former mayor, Parker, and all the, so we talk to everybody, we interview these folks, we see where the pulse of the nation is. So that is a good reason for you to make sure, please do support Politics Done Right. I want to do it one more time, and that is, please go to Patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Patreon.com/politicsdoneright. We need your support. We need hundreds of membership. They're very, very cheap, very inexpensive. And you know that you're doing your job and you're supporting. When I go out there, you are supporting what we do. You are supporting real progressive media, folks that are going to do some research for you and not let folks pull the rag over your head. That is our purpose. Today we did Ocasio-Cortez. I wanted to do some Biden. I had some stuff on Biden that I wanted to go. I guess we'll do the Biden tomorrow. I'll go ahead and recue that for tomorrow. But folks, let's stick together. Let's make sure and inform more folks. It's the grassroots that can win this thing. We have to look, corporations have power because they have money and they think that money, with that money they can buy psychologists, and with those psychologists they can rig information in such a manner that it convinces you. I want us to build spheres of trust. What are spheres of trust? I want to earn your trust so that when I speak and you listen to me, you'll say, okay, I think what Egberto is saying is making the sense. Yes, I'm going to go. I want you to also corroborate the things that I say. Eventually, you'll know that you'll figure out that I am not coming out here to lie to you or lie to anybody. But I want to build a sphere of trust, the people that trust me, and I want you to build your sphere of trust. And the sum total of all of us will have what I call intersecting spheres. Let me get rid of this thing. I begged you enough. Please just go ahead and go to politicsdoneright.com and click on donate, or go to patreon.com/politics. Please support us. But here's the deal. I want us to build spheres of influence, spheres of truth, spheres of trust. And when we do that, right, these will be intersecting spheres. They'll touch each other, but you'll have people I don't see. And others will have people that you are connected with also that don't see you. And when we build these spheres of trust, they grow geometrically. And geometric growth means that something like this. If I have 1,000 followers, and each of my 1,000 followers has 1,000 followers, or people that listen to them or have trust in them, and our intersecting is, let's say, 30% or so, that geometric growth is huge. At several levels, we eventually reach the entire country. And that's the magic. Believe it or not, Trump knows that. And Trump and his team knows that. So they are building levels of false trust. And their expanded level of fast trust doesn't require a lot of money. So when Trump is getting all this money, Trump is not going to be throwing all this money into a campaign. He's going to be pocketing a lot of this money because they've understood how you build levels of trust. And that's what we have to do as progressive, independent progressives. Because remember, don't think that the plutocracy doesn't like Trump. The plutocracy loves Trump. They don't care if Trump wins again. I'm talking Democrats and Republicans alike in the plutocracy. They don't care if Trump wins. They'll do fine. But we care about us, you. So let's start building spheres of trust. You are in my sphere of trust. Build your sphere of intersecting trusts. Some will intersect us, some won't, and they will have their own intersectionalities as well. And with that, people, with that, brothers and sisters, we can win this thing. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. But before I have to say I love you all, this is Politics Done Right. You know how I end this baby. I am, what again? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.